I do sometimes lie up here. I'm not proud of it. But sometimes we all have to lie. Like, even when I tell my children not to lie, I'm kind of lying to them. Some people are like, you should never lie to a child. And those people don't have kids. Because when you have kids, you lie to them all the time. You're like, you wouldn't like this ice cream. It's very spicy. I'd share, but Santa said I can't. Now, why don't you go to sleep so I can wrestle your mom? I'm not encouraging lying. I'm just saying there are times when you need to, right? Like if you're late to meet someone and you see that they're already angry and you don't have an excuse, you have to lie. Because if you told that person the truth, they would never speak to you again. You can be like, hey, I gotta come clean. I just couldn't motivate to get going. I mean, eventually I could. What I'm trying to say is I don't value your time. I've identified there are 2 times when it's socially acceptable to lie. To spare someone's feelings, it's okay to lie. It's also okay to lie to cover up a murder. Allow me to explain. When we discover someone's a murderer, we also learn they've done some fibbing. But we tend to focus on the murder part. You never hear, I'm angry he killed that guy, but frankly, I'm more upset about the lying. It's the dishonesty that bothers me. Some trust has been broken. Speaking of lying murderers, I watch a lot of Dateline. I don't want to brag. Some other winners out there. If you're unfamiliar or you have a life, Dateline is a news magazine show, like 60 Minutes, but at one point, Dateline just went all in on murder. And it's usually spousal murder. Like if you watch Dateline, it appears most marriages end in murder. Every episode starts the same. They had the perfect marriage. But you know someone's getting killed. A husband, a wife, sometimes they'll get someone else to kill their spouse, which seems impersonal. It's like you took a vow, do it yourself. Anyway, I was watching this one episode of Dateline about this guy who murdered his wife. It was gruesome. I was watching with my wife on our anniversary. My wife didn't care. I mean, she wasn't thrilled I was taking notes. What are you writing down? This guy's just sloppy. It's like he's trying to get caught. If anything, this guy's plan was foolproof. What he did on his anniversary is he threw a party for him and his wife, and they invited all their friends so that they could see how happy they were. And then the next morning, he took his wife fishing. He rented a boat, he brought a cooler, some tackle, 3 concrete blocks, and a tarp. You know, for fishing. And he would have gotten away with the whole thing. But 3 months after his wife disappeared at sea, he got engaged to a stripper, which is kind of suspicious. And to celebrate their engagement, they dropped acid, as tradition would have. And while tripping on acid, he admitted the whole thing to his fiancée. And she turned him in because she didn't appreciate the dishonesty. And as the episode ended, all I could think is, I'm a terrific husband. I've never even thought of murdering my wife. Well, I've never made plans to murder my wife. Well, I don't own concrete blocks. I can see some of you are like, Jim, I don't like the murder jokes. I don't like them. But wouldn't it be great if in a week you learned I was a murderer? Because then you could brag. You could be like, oh my gosh, we were at the taping for a special. And he had all these jokes on murder. Were they good? Not really, no. He was better at murder than comedy. If you know me, I would do anything for my wife, and that's part of my alibi. No, I I would do anything for my wife, but I'm not a romantic person. I wish I was. There are moments when it's glaringly obvious. I get to travel so much doing stand-up. I did a show in Cologne, Germany, and before the show, I was walking over this bridge that went across the Rhine River, and as I walked across, I noticed there were hundreds of locks on this bridge, and each of the locks had 2 initials. And it was apparent that couples had put their lock there as a symbol of their relationship. And I looked at it and I thought, that's perfect. Nothing captures love like a rusty padlock dangling over filthy water. But it was visually spectacular, and it affected me. I'm almost embarrassed to admit this. I found myself spending the next hour just kind of looking for a hardware store in this town I had never been in. I spent an hour looking, and eventually I found a hardware store. I went in, and I bought a bolt cutter. And I went back, and I started snipping off the locks. And with each snip, I said, it's over. Over. You're free. And people were giving me dirty looks. Now, what a grand romantic gesture, right? But you know the first guy who did that was a psycho. Like, his partner or girlfriend was not a willing participant. He was like, you're probably wondering why I brought you to the middle of the bridge. In March, I'm gonna do something you'll never, ever forget. She's like, oh my gosh, are you gonna jump? No, I wanna put this lock here. I'll put it here as a symbol of our love. And soon others will do it. And the bridge will be covered with locks. But you'll know that the first lock was a symbol of our love. And the woman was like, is that my bike lock? Not anymore. Jim, that's a sad story.
Hi. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him my name. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him. I'm not gonna tell him to subscribe. Because you know what? That's not what it's about. Oh, there's no more time?